Handoff, Adrian up the middle, room to the 20, cuts to the left to the 25, and Adrian's loose! He splits the defense! 50, 40, 30, goodbye, baby! Touchdown!
We bleed purple, and our bones are gold. Hear the horns coming out of our dome, behold. We are Minnesota Vikings fans. We love when a player scores, we roar, ignite the stand.
Vikings fans, you are listening to the Purple People podcast. I thank you for joining us. My name is Kyle West. I am accompanied by, as always, the undead doctor of thugonomics, Adam Carlson.
I like it.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one. And he would do backup vocals for Nickelback and then be better than Nickelback's actual lead singer, Kyle Smith.
Yes, this is completely accurate. What's up, everybody?
How are you guys tonight?
Haven't gotten to see some Vikings play football in a while, so I'm getting a little nervous, a little upset. A little bit of withdrawals going on. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the good thing is it's not that far away.
It's just, Vikings, come on. Gotta stay alive into the postseason one of these years just to keep me interested a little longer.
All you guys got to do is win a Super Bowl. I promise you.
That's it. That's not too tough, right?
No. They just win one. I will be so obnoxious. Virginia will kick me out of the Commonwealth.
I'd probably be wherever they kicked you out to. I'd probably be there too. But I'd like to welcome everyone to Purple People Podcast, episode number 136, The House of Carters. Now, if you're not familiar with The House of Carters, it was a TV show on the E! Network and Much Music about one of the kids from the Backstreet Boys and his little brother. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go on a play on House of Cards, the TV show.
Well, it is kind of a play on that, but House of Carters was an actual show, so I can't really...
There you go. See, I did not know that. We are learning stuff on today's podcast.
I went for the House of Cards pun at first, but then I was like, wait a minute, this was an actual show.
Sadly enough.
That people watched.
I'll be getting both of your addresses, and you can expect seasons of this in the mail on your birthdays. You're welcome.
No.
Gee, thank you.
I can't wait for that. But on to the quick hits, because I love them. Remember those rumors where people were saying, the Vikings need to trade for Josh Gordon so they have that number one wide receiver? Do you remember that?
Yep.
Well, that's going to be put on hold for at least a year since Josh Gordon's facing a 1-year ban after failing a drug test for alcohol. Poor Josh Gordon, man. Just can't get it together.
Supremely talented kid, but just needs to get his life figured out first and then concentrate on playing football. But unfortunately, this might be career over for him already.
It very well could. At least in the NFL. I mean, CFL teams, Arena League, whatever, they'll have no problem picking him up and playing him. NFL teams will definitely hesitate after all the problems. Mm-hmm. And like I said when I was evaluating him back during the supplemental draft, this is a kid that's got a lot of talent, but you can't use a high pick on him because of how dangerous his mindset is.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make people care and make people want something. And
no.
It just makes me sad thinking about all these undrafted guys or these late round picks that want to make a team. And this guy, breathes the right way and he can just do whatever he wants, but just can't stop partying. It seems like the partying is what it is. He's enjoying the old Johnny Manziel status lifestyle, but just too hard. I hope you get your stuff together because you know what? This sounds to me like this could be borderline if it's not just a straight I don't care about anything situation. Sounds like you may have a problem, and I know the NFL will take care of people if they choose to be taken care of. So I hope he can get his act together because the film that I've seen on him, like you guys said, he's pretty ridiculous when he wants to be.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm above him or talking down to him. I've had my problems with alcohol in my life. Mm-hmm. It took me a long time to realize the issues that I had and to turn my life around. And hopefully Josh Gordon can do the same. Hopefully this will be his rock bottom. And he'll just figure out, hey, this is not working for me and my family. I need to change things.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We wish you well. If Michael Vick can come back, I'm sure if you truly rehabilitate yourself, You can come back. He's still pretty young.
Yeah, he definitely wouldn't be the first player in the NFL to have drug problems come back and be pretty good. So no worries there. Where there isn't worries, though, is the Vikings general manager, because Rick Spielman says that no one is satisfied with 7-9, but he's pleased with the direction the team's heading in. To me, I don't know about 7-9 as being something not to be satisfied with. I know the goal is the playoffs, the goal is the Super Bowl, the goal is the championship, and anything short of that, you're not pleased. That's not a victory.
Mm-hmm.
But based on what happened this season, 7-9, I don't know if I'd be too quick to say, oh, we're not satisfied with that, because there were plenty of things to be satisfied in the 7-9 record, but the 7-9 record itself, it ain't pretty.
See, I can't agree with you more because, like, the sport that you guys can totally crucify me on the Facebook page if you'd like for this. I never played football. I'm just a super big fan. As most of you guys can probably pick that up, but I wrestled, and we did this stuff with my coach. If it doesn't matter what the record is, it's the mentality and the effort, and that's all I needed this year. Because honestly, of course, people are gonna peg us and say, "Oh, well, you would say that because you have a losing record." I can hear that argument all day long. I'm gonna bypass it. The attitude, the aggression, the direction we're going, just the mentality that we have. I don't care that we're 7-9. I enjoyed watching every game this year, even the ones where we got our asses kicked, just because I knew we were a completely different team than we were last year.
I feel like there's lots of little bulletin points, if you were to sit down and make a list, that you could say were the positives to take away from this season. And I think that those are the things that Rick Spielman was talking about, to where there are more positives than what I think there are negatives, like the team's heading in the right way, but ultimately, no, you're not satisfied with the record. So, like, yeah, I understand it, and I actually agree with what both of them are saying. Like, you don't want to get caught up in a little bit of the Leslie Frazier attitude of being super excited to be an average or a little bit below average, like, record-wise team in the NFL. Like, you don't want to do that. You want to be championship team. And so
you want to be the very best.
No doubt.
When you mentioned Leslie, the only thing I could think of, and I am not a Leslie Frazier hater by any means, but every single time, it's a tough loss for our football team. It's a tough loss every single time.
We're gonna check the tape, see what we're doing wrong.
We're gonna correct
some adjustments.
We're gonna correct the one or two big mistakes that we made, and we're gonna turn this ship around. That is every Leslie Frazier press conference we just did.
That's true. It's true. On to some sadder news. The first ever Minnesota Vikings draft pick back in 1961, Tommy Mason, passed away. He was a fantastic running back for the Vikings. And the fact that he was the first ever draft pick for the team just really adds to his history and his legacy with this team. I'd like to send our best wishes out to the family. Feel bad for their loss and for the Minnesota Vikings organization.
Mm-hmm.
Just a sad situation right there.
Very well said, Adam.
But on to happier news, if you watched the Royal Rumble, you'll know something pretty sweet. I love squeezing these wrestling ones in here.
Anytime
Especially
you can,
since
right?
2 former Minnesota Vikings players will be headlining WrestleMania. You can't go wrong there.
It's not a coincidence.
Brock Lesnar will be taking on Roman Reigns in a match of former Minnesota Vikings players. There's no debating why they're there. I mean, they're both just absolute tough guys and monsters.
Oh, have you seen the meme that's floating around the internet? It's got
Loser goes back.
Yeah, the WrestleMania logo with those two guys in their Vikings gear, and underneath it says "Loser goes back to the Vikings." Like,
oh yeah.
Even as a Vikings fan, I was like, that's actually pretty clever. Like, that's funny.
I thought it was pretty cool, especially since I don't think there's any reason to kind of be down about either one ever being a part of the squad. So I don't know. To me, there's an honor in it.
Cool little.
It's kind of a fun thing.
Cool little fun footnote that those two guys once tried out for the Vikings, especially Brock. Like, it's really cool that Brock Lesnar was a. You gotta say it like Paul Heyman every now and then, but it's really cool that he was tried out for the Vikings at one time. Like, that's awesome.
Absolutely. And now I figured I'd save this one for last because I think we're going to end up talking about this one a little bit more than any of the other quick hits. Now, recently, ESPN and Pro Football Focus got together to put out an article and talk about how far away all these teams are from being Super Bowl caliber teams. They did all 32 teams that weren't currently in the Super Bowl, so the Seahawks and the Patriots aren't there. But their numbers decided that the Minnesota Vikings are 10 above average players away from contending for a Super Bowl, and on their roster, they only have 4 players that are above average.
Well, who are the 4?
The 4 above average players are the 2 that are considered elite are Harrison Smith and Sharif Floyd.
It's crap.
The 2 that are considered good are Everson Griffin. Are you ready for this one?
Ready.
And Robert Blanton.
Okay.
That is the 4 players that are above average.
Huh.
Let's just completely leave Xavier Rhodes off this list like he's not awesome and made one of the biggest leaps in the league.
Leave
That's
out
good.
one of the best run-blocking offensive tackles in the league in Phil Lodeholt. One of the most solid right guards. Another one awesome run blocker. I don't
One of the
understand
best
how these guys
centers.
are left off.
Yep, I was just going to say
Yeah.
Sully needs to get some love. He's like the only consistent lineman we have. Oh, my Lord. Okay, well, this got me fired up. Good job, Adam.
But where it gets even more fun is when you look over to who are the players they considered bad.
Okay.
Because according to this list, the Vikings have 5 bad players.
Charlie Johnson?
No.
Really?
Corey Wooten.
Okay. He didn't really play.
Robot.
He really didn't play that much for the team.
Matt Khalil.
Okay, understandable.
Matt Asiata.
Just baloney.
Yeah.
Chad Greenway.
Oh, poor Chad.
And the struggler himself, Brian Robinson.
B-Rob? Really? They listed him as a bad player? I don't agree with that.
I just think he had an off season.
Well,
Maybe it was because he was struggling with some injuries and things like that. I'm hoping that it was something like that and he'll be back to form next year. It also could be because of the fact that he doesn't have Jared Allen on the other side anymore commanding as much attention. But people should be paying attention over there because Everson Griffin is a beast.
Yep.
And I don't know how he isn't over in the good category, to be honest.
he had an off season, but I mean, there are worse players on this Vikings unit than Brian Robinson.
Vladimir Ducasse is in the average category.
Yeah, see, that the whole list is pointless at that point. Right? I mean, come on.
If they want to go ahead and send that our way, we'll go ahead and reassess it and do the real correct version of that.
It's quite an article, and it's very extensive that they go through and they talk about the players that where they thought they belonged. The team at ESPN felt that Xavier Rhodes deserved to be up in the good category, and there were other spots where they were debating it a little bit, but I thought it was kind of a fun article to read. I don't think the Minnesota Vikings are that far away as an organization. I think basing all these players in those categories based on last season, I know looking at last season is all you can really do right now, but a lot of these players are better than their season was last year or that their season was cut short. And that's why players like Adrian Peterson aren't on this list.
Well, where did they rank Teddy?
Teddy's average, which for a rookie passer, I think that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that happened today. I'll go on a tangent about that later.
If it's not in the notes, I'm sure you'll bring it up.
This is true.
So I thought that article was really interesting. If you get a chance, head on over to ESPN.com and check out the article. Like I said, they have every team listed that isn't in the playoff or isn't in the Super Bowl, and how many pieces they are away. And they've got Minnesota one heck of a distance from competing. And
But you know what?
I
Hey,
don't know.
guys, it's ESPN. We've said for the longest time that they hate to cover the Vikings.
and Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, so what do we expect from them? I'm sure they listed
Perfect.
every single player for the Green Bay Packers as elite, right? I mean,
Perfect,
come on.
perfect example and segue. I'm at work. I'm Googling around. ESPN does the whole season in, 2.5 minutes? Not one Vikings player or play is on there. And it said, man, this rookie quarterback class is pretty bad. And I threw my phone. It's like, okay, most of them, maybe. Half of them, very accurate. Derek Carr was pretty damn good. Teddy, in my opinion, was better. I'm third
I thought
highest
Carr was
completion.
solid, and I thought Bortles played better than I thought he would.
They have no love for us. You got to take that with a grain of salt. And just to think we had, I know through the halfway point, on the day that the halfway point of the season was done, Anthony Barr, when he did that strip in Tampa Bay to win in overtime, that made the next day, over the whole half of the season, top 10 plays of the year. And they didn't put us in there at once. Or the overtime win with the Jets, that play, you can't throw us a little love in there. Shame on you, ESPN.
It is. It's disappointing. But
I think that play.
I think fans of Minnesota are used to that kind of attention anyway.
I think that play by Anthony Barr is up for like defensive play of the year.
Yeah,
like
it should be.
Overall in the NFL, like league wide. So yeah.
Oh well, this is great to ask too. I'm just gonna be totally. Thanks guys, I'm back. I'm jacking everything up on the show. Do we know when the official date is? They're gonna release the MVP, the offensive and defensive player of the year.
That happens at the Honors Awards, right?
I believe
That's
so.
only a couple weeks away, I believe.
Let's see.
Sometime in February. We'll fiddle around and find it.
It says NFL Honors is January 31st, so I don't know. Maybe.
I haven't heard or had any updates on it, so I was curious about that.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see what happens there.
Should be
all
JJ
show
Watt.
up. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about the MVP, we know that there's a good chance that the MVP might have been in the Pro Bowl on Sunday if you guys watched it. I will admit I watched about the last 3 minutes of it after the Royal Rumble got over because I don't know. To me, the Pro Bowl just isn't what it used to be at all. Like we've said many times on the show, I enjoyed the skill competitions. The game itself just seemed like a backyard football game. And I tuned in just in time to see Andy Dalton donk away the game for Team Carter. So
horrible again. And you know what? You made a good point. You know how the Pro Bowl is not how it used to be. They're having to readjust goalposts and make them shorter just to get people to watch, and readjust all these rules to keep people interested because the effort just wasn't there in the last decade or so.
Did you watch a lot of it, Mr. West?
I didn't watch one single play of the Pro Bowl. I watched, well, like you did, Adam, I watched the Royal Rumble. Because
that's not a good sign.
Like I said on Twitter, the Royal Rumble was less scripted and more real than the NFL Pro Bowl.
Oh, that's rough.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, come on, man. They had John Randall and Chris Carter coaching one of the teams, and I did not watch the Pro Bowl. There is nothing else they could possibly do that would get me to be interested in it.
Maybe put some Vikings players in it.
Well, maybe a little bit, but you know what? I did read that the numbers for the Pro Bowl were comparable to Game 1 of the World Series. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I don't like baseball, but I mean, it does say something to how popular the NFL is, that you have a game that everyone universally says they pretty much hate, and yet it still ranks right up there with Game 1 of the World Series viewership-wise. Like, we hate it, but someone's watching it somewhere.
People are complaining about it all over social media, but they're tuning in, watching it, and talking about it, so I guess it's still relevant.
Just watch the Royal Rumble instead, guys. It's much better. Some years.
That's true. That is true.
Maybe not so much this year. But that's another podcast, right?
It could be.
Yeah.
We could have lots of podcasts going.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on, since I don't think we really have a lot to talk about for the Pro Bowl. I don't think any of us were really that interested in the first place, to be honest. So.
Nope. I was watching it at the gym, and I was more focused on lifting than I was watching Andy Dalton throw the game away at the end. It was terrible.
But according to Adam Schefter, Duron Carter has made his decision.
Uh-oh.
Drum roll, please.
And he will be a member of the Indianapolis Colts.
Really? See, I just got off work, so you just broke this news to me. I did not know. He signed with the Colts?
You have not been checking the podcast notes that I sent you?
Nah, no, I had like 800 million things to do tonight, so no, I didn't check the notes.
Oh yeah, it's all there. Apparently that he has made the decision to sign with Indianapolis, and I can't blame him. I mean, he's got Andrew Luck throwing him the ball. He's got a group of wide receivers where he's much more likely to end up making the roster.
Yeah.
And he could make more of an impact there. They're a team that is a playoff caliber team already. And they're playing indoors too, so that's another plus, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We will be too soon enough if the bird squawkers will be quiet.
And their division is, we'll be nice and say kind of weak.
Oh, that was generous.
Well, hey, you gotta wish him the best of luck wherever he goes. It'll be fun to see what Duron Carter can do. Like, we've been kind of hard on him a little bit, but you still want to wish him nothing but the best in the NFL. At least I do.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely. You got to carry around your dad's shadow. It's just, I know it's got to be annoying, but hey, best of luck, man.
The Duron Carter to the Colts news kind of hit me a little hard because I was doing a podcast called Purple for the Win. If you haven't listened to it, check it out. Real good show. And I was asked to make a stone cold take, a bold prediction. And my prediction was that Duron Carter would sign with the Vikings, but he wouldn't make the final 53.
Oh.
And it took less than 2 days for that to be wrong.
Oops.
I don't think anyone else could lay down a stone cold take that quick and have it just turn around and bite me in the ass that bad.
No.
But hey, you got to make the record books for something. So why not the fastest stone cold take ever to be wrong?
Oh, you're like Santino holding the record for 1 second, getting eliminated in the Rumble.
That's right. I really figured that this would at least last until into the season, into training camp, maybe even the preseason. Nope. Didn't even pick the Vikings. But let's be honest, we'd talked about it before, and although we do wish Duron Carter the best in the future, I'm not sure that Minnesota was the right place for him right now. So I'm glad to see him go somewhere where he's going to get a good shot.
Well, I mean, Adam,
Absolutely.
there's no real roster spot for him. Like, he could come in and he could work out with the team, but like we said, he's not going to jump over certain players on the roster.
He could if he came in and was super impressive.
He'd have to be really super impressive to do that. And I do think he probably stands, and of course I don't know the Colts roster forward and backwards like we know ours, but it does seem like he would stand a better chance to make that team.
Yeah, they have less depth, which is crazy considering how some people feel that the Vikings have absolutely no depth at wide receiver.
Yeah.
But that's something that everybody has their own opinion on, whether we like it or not. A lot of people are going to hate on some players that we think are solid, and it's just a matter of opinion, I guess.
Guess what? We get to redo this entire conversation in a couple more seasons when Randy Moss's son comes out of college.
I thought you were going to say that this failed and that we didn't record the show. And
That's where I thought he was going to.
Damn it.
Nope.
No.
I was saying we're going to redo this whole conversation in a couple seasons when Randy Moss's kid comes out of college. And everyone's going to be talking.
Nope, I got a backup recording.
Yeah, everyone's going to be talking about how we should sign him too. But you're right. We do have a backup recording.
It's great, but it's not. I know. I just have a feeling you're 100% right, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm excited, but I'm annoyed already with it.
The concept of having the son of a Vikings legend on the team, it's amazing and it's awesome. And the idea of that player lighting it up is so cool. And sometimes the concept of things is so much better than the way it actually is.
Yeah. How often do you actually have, like, a lineage that goes down like that of players being consistently good? You have to give a shout out to it, but like Clay Matthews, like the Matthews family.
Oh, sure.
There's an example that you can point to of
The
having
Khalil family.
yeah, well, maybe. We hope that turns out
Well,
better.
maybe.
We're not 100% sure how that one's working out right now.
Hey, if nothing, Ryan Khalil's a stud.
Yeah. But there's not a lot of other examples of like Jerry Rice has a son, but Jerry Rice's son isn't in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So, let's do our Super Bowl predictions.
I was wondering. I didn't see that in the notes. I was wondering if you were going to talk about that.
We kind of have to, because it's coming up. And I'll do my opinion first. At the beginning of the season, I said that the Seahawks would take on the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and that the Seahawks would become back-to-back champions. That was my prediction at the beginning of the year, and I'm not changing it. The Seahawks will defeat the New England Patriots and become back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Now, Madden NFL 15 ran their prediction, and they have Julian Edelman catching a game-winning touchdown from Tom Brady to give the Patriots the win. And over the course, it's been simulated 11 times that has results so far, and the Madden simulation is 8-3. So that's a pretty good record for a computer. But I'm going against the Madden prediction, and I'm saying the Seahawks. What do you guys got?
You go ahead, Kyle.
I'm gonna say the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to win, but I am pulling for the Seahawks. I would rather see Seattle win, just because, and it's not because the whole deflate the ball gate hashtag Twitter whatever thing that's going on. I don't even care about that. Like, that's stupid.
You said that like my dad would. That's hilarious.
I am secretly about 90 years old and really out of the times. No, like I just really don't want to see the Patriots win because they've won so many Super Bowls. And I know the Seahawks just won one last year, but it's like, well, they got players that I like. Like, I like Marshawn Lynch. I like Russell Wilson. Kevin Williams is with them. Like,
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, I think that's pretty funny.
That's funny. People get on Marshawn Lynch for not talking to the media.
Oh.
Then Richard Sherman gets in there and tells them exactly how he feels, and people get on him too.
Yeah, there's absolutely no middle ground for that. And people get bitchy when someone like Peyton Manning talks, and they give the by-the-book generic answer. It's like, well...
Nobody's ever satisfied.
Yeah, what do you want? But, yeah, I think the Patriots will win to wrap it up, but I'm pulling for the Seahawks.
All right, so we're 1-1. Mr. Smith gets to break the tie.
I'm going with the Pats. I'll tell you why.
Come on.
I'll tell you why. I want the Seahawks to win. I want Kevin Williams to get a ring. I'm not against it. Russell Wilson's. I'm from right outside of Charlotte. He played amateur baseball in the town that I grew up in, the Gastonia Grizzlies. I have nothing but love for Russell Wilson. I think their defense is absolutely scary. I'm a huge fan of Marshawn Lynch, especially with this media stuff. Hilarious.
Yeah.
The guy gets paid to play football. If he doesn't want to talk, who cares? And the fact, think about it too, we're running a media type show, even though we're not really media. I think it's so lame that you try to get a story out of the guy when he tells you, I'm not going to talk to you. So stop talking to him. It doesn't take talent to record Marshawn Lynch saying, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. Go get a story from somebody and ask them challenging questions. Don't go to the guy that's just going to be a Twitter blow up for the day. Like, I don't know. That's besides the point. I'm picking the Patriots by a touchdown because, yes, Seattle's defense is awesome. Patriots defense is pretty awesome too, and that's kind of went under the radar, but they're very technically sound. They don't want to make a lot of mistakes. That's the thing I wanted to bring it to light in there. The Patriots defense, they just do their damn job. They're not flashy and aggressive, but they do their job. But the reason that I think the Pats are going to win, I think their offense is better than Seattle's offense. They have more weapons. They have a Gronk. They have LeGarrette Blount. They've got Julian Edelman. I can't even think of the Amendola. I mean, their receiving core is better than Seattle's receiving core. And I'll be honest with you, Russell Wilson showed us a side of himself that he did not show in a very long time, if ever, against Green Bay. And I'm not saying Green Bay's bad, but they went on the road in Seattle and made them look like shit for about 3.5 quarters. So
You're bringing up the exact reason why I'm picking Seattle.
See, I think Bill Belichick is not going to run the ball just to run the ball. I'm taking a jab at you, Mike McCarthy. He's not going to game manage. If you notice, even the Deflategate, when they were beating the crap out of the Colts, they kept beating the crap out of the Colts. They're just going to keep at doing what they do. They're not going to run the clock and manage time. They're going to go out there, and with all this deflate scandal, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. And I think they're going to win by a touchdown because their offense is, I wouldn't say significantly better, but it's slightly better than Seattle's. I think that's what gives them the edge.
I don't think Russell Wilson's going to come out and make the same amount of mistakes that he did against Green Bay. I think he's too good of a quarterback to do that. I expect him to come out and have a solid game. Marshawn Lynch to just pound the rock like a beast. And that Seattle defense, I'm telling you, don't sleep on it. We saw what they did to Peyton Manning. And Tom Brady's a legend too, already a legend in the making, I guess, since he's not done yet.
Oh,
I think that's the other reason why I'm picking them too. Like, there's so much discussion about, oh, you guys didn't win this in Spygate, and I'm sorry, but I know Terry has 4, I know Joe Montana has 4, but when you've played in 6 Super Bowls, if he wins the 4th, he's hands down, in my opinion, the best quarterback to play the game. And you can do the scandal and all you want, but Pete Carroll has scandals too. Let's not live that down, but. It would just be really cool that we all, especially our age, we're all relatively in the same area of age. We got to say we grew up watching one of the greats, maybe the greatest quarterback of all time.
It's true.
I think Joe Montana, not to completely sidetrack, but Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback of all time.
I don't think it's really fair to judge quarterbacks by Super Bowl wins, because if you do that, then you got Joe Montana and some of the other guys that have tons of rings. And Dan Marino has none.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Favre only has 1, and you guys know I practically have a hard-on for Brett Favre. He's fantastic, but yeah, I mean, I don't base it solely on that. But they've won their division 10 out of the last 12 years, 11 out of 12. I mean, it's ridiculous how much they win.
Look at their division too. Come on.
That's true, but
they play who's on the front of them in the schedule.
I know that's all you can do. You play the schedule it's given you. But
yep.
Man. They sure lucked out into getting in a division that isn't always very competitive.
I'm not against either one winning. It would be cool to see Kevin Williams get a ring, but they talked about this today. This is definitely one of the bandwagon Super Bowls, one of the most hated because of bandwagoners and because apparently the Patriots just cheat every time, every game.
If this goes to overtime, the game's over. You know that, right? Seattle wins.
It depends on who gets the ball first.
No, well, we know who's getting the ball first. The best guy at calling the coin flips ever, Tavares Jackson.
Yes. Can we sign him back just to be the coin flipper?
Get him and that big Okafor guy or whatever it was that all the memes were about.
Oh yeah, the go with the was he from?
Sean Oakman. That's
Sean Oakman. Yep.
That was Tails. No, it wasn't. You're right. Oh, that's a fun stat that you brought up, T-Jack. How mind-blowing is that after this Sunday, Tavares Jackson could have 2 Super Bowl rings?
He could. He could have 2 pieces of hardware.
Oh, my God.
It's a lot of fun there. That's all I have for this week. Do you guys have anything else you want to add in?
A little piece of Chris Carter just died when you said that Tavares Jackson could have 2 Super Bowl rings, and he has none. Like, somewhere he just shuddered and was like, oh, what was that?
I can't help it. That's my amazing stat for the day. All right. I did something. I had to do something to salvage myself. I haven't been here in a while.
All right. So, you guys got anything else you want to throw in?
No,
Nope.
All right. We kept it short and we kept it classy. Remember to go to Facebook. Check us out on the Facebook page. Me and Mr. Kyle Smith are usually over there handling down some Vikings knowledge, posting some memes. And Mr. Smith always seems to post some pretty good questions that get people talking.
Thank you to the people who replied today. Keep it coming. Let me know if you love me or hate me. We just love your responses in general.
Head on over to Twitter at Purple People Pod. That's where Kyle West will handle your queries.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're looking into a way to have you guys send in some voice questions because we'd like to handle some questions from fans, and we're too lazy to read them, so...
Yeah, we're going to try to get fancy here in the next coming weeks with some new stuff.
We're going to try to do some different stuff here, so should be fun.
I'll give you guys a hint. Sorry to interrupt, Kevin. Sorry, guys. It's my week back, right? I've been out of it. Facebook, if you have the Messenger, you can definitely send us audio clips on there. So that's one way of doing it. If you have an iPhone, I know they can do it on all these phones. I don't know, send it in a message somehow. We will get to it, and we will give you a shout out with your name because we're going to need to know who sent it and asking it, and then we'll break it down. So if you want to get kind of a little shout out on the show, here's your chance.
And if you want your name pronounced correctly, say it before you ask your question. Otherwise, we will probably butcher it.
Spell it phonically.
Thielen.
Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. We got enough poop about that.
Yeah,
Hashtag Thylene Gate.
We're sorry for jacking up his name. Thielen, I guess, is what it was supposed to be. If I jacked it up again, I'm sorry. You can yell at me.
The number of shits I give is 0 on that one.
I mean, no disrespect to the man or the family, but it was fun. It was fun butchering his name.
Oh.
On that note, I'd like to thank everyone for listening, and remember to stay classy, Minnesota.